40, but we've been going through an oral history of a column Judd wrote for ScoreNorth.com, the best and worst draft picks by the Minnesota Vikings in the Judd Zulgad era.
Past 13 years.
The storied, cherished Judd Zulgad era.
Starting with 2006.
Yes.
And they're darn lucky that it doesn't start with 2005 because that's one of the worst drafts of all time. That's the Troy Williamson Erasmus James draft. Let's just say it didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
Best second-round pick in the past 13 years, tight end Kyle Rudolph, 43rd pick out of Notre Dame in 2011. The runner-up is linebacker Eric Kendricks, who the Vikings took 45th out of UCLA in 2015. It's not nearly as much fun as the worst, though. Manny Hill is going to Ramie, I'm guessing that you won't even recall this name because you weren't here, and if you weren't, you certainly didn't watch him.
Mm-hmm.
Manny will recall this guy very well.
Mm-hmm.
This starts the era. This is during the era of when the Vikings could not coach up corners to save their life, and they kept drafting them at various times. The worst second-round pick since 2006, Chris Cook, 34th out of Virginia. In 2010.
Yep.
I have no recollection of Chris Cook.
You shouldn't.
I don't.
4 seasons as a Viking, 34 games. Second-round pick, okay? Second-round pick. No interceptions. Not one interception.
In 4 seasons.
In 4 seasons, and then he went and played another year in San Francisco, and I don't believe he had one there, and he's been out of the league since then. No picks in 4 seasons as a second-round pick.
And
he got plenty of opportunities.
And he was a bigger sized corner,
yes,
too.
He
was like over 6'2", maybe, or 6'1", 6'2", and
yes, he was
over 200 pounds. Like he was in some ways, he was kind of the Mike Zimmer prototype, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
He was the type of guy that Mike Zimmer likes. Mike Zimmer likes the tall, lanky, long-armed corners.
And do you know where he had in purple, where Chris Cook had his best moments without a doubt? Mankato.
Practice.
He had some awesome practices. I'm not joking. There was one practice so good that Scoggins and I, at that time covering the team for the Star Tribune, I looked at Chip and I said, we got to write about this. Like 3 picks in one practice. Never, ever in a game.
Yeah, that means nothing.
I know it does.
That really means absolutely nothing.
But when you're a beat guy covering a team in training camp,
it's not just the beat guys.
You get excited by the smallest things, Ramie.
Yeah, no, we're just so football starved by the time training camp comes around that give us anything that tastes like football. Give us tackles, give us interceptions, give us how many touchdowns the quarterback threw in practice. Did he drop it in the bucket? Oh, tell me he dropped it in the bucket.
And the runner-up is so right up the alley of second-round picks with what you just said. The runner-up for the worst second-round pick by the Vikings since 2006, Tavares Jackson.
And Judd, you cannot utter that name without you just can't. You can't. He is like forever linked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's this guy.
Yeah, this guy.
It's Bridgewater and Zim, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as Teddy was, and to this day in my mind remains Zimmer's guy. Yeah, Tavares was Brad's guy.
Yep.
And I believe the Childress orchestrated the trade with the last pick of the second round with Pittsburgh to take this kid out of Alabama State, who, as I recall, Childress told us he's got a hose. He's got a hose for an arm. But Ramie, you hit it. You hit it squarely. Because there were practices where you would watch Tavares Jackson and you'd be like, oh, wow.
Right. We got something here. Yeah.
You just hit it. You're 1,000% right.
But it's just you're so starved. You're thirsty for football that you'll take any little bit that you can get and you will just run with it. And it's the best thing you ever tasted. It's so tasty.
And the thing with Tavares too, there were moments in games where you, to Judd's point, where you thought, okay, they got something. I remember the last game of the season at Denver.
When Williamson had the ball go off his mask.
Williamson.
That's the greatest pass Tavares ever threw.
Yeah.
Deep ball to Troy. Troy streaking free. Nothing's going to stop him. Ball. In fact, you can find this right now.
Oh, yeah.
Ball hits off Troy's mask and falls to the Invesco field turf.
And he's 20
yards.
He's 20 yards clear of any defender, too.
What should
That's
I search?
The best part about it.
Troy Williamson, Broncos, 2007, right?
2007, yeah.
Regular season, finale. Troy's
I think I remember
last
this.
game. There was the deep pass that bounced off Troy's face mask, and then there was a crossing route that he dropped as well. Perfect throw.
Hit him right on the 8 and the 2.
Perfect throw.
Right in between the 8 and the 2. Bounced right off his chest.
But Tavares created his own problems too. Man, his out routes. Guys are still picking that off and going back for touchdowns. Yeah, there it is. You're watching. Isn't that awful? It hit the man in the mask. It hit him square in the mask.
That did hit him right in the middle of the face. And you can tell Tavares Jackson is not happy.
No, he shouldn't have been.
He just stared daggers through Troy Williamson right there. Oh, that was comical. I want to put the Benny Hill music over that. That's what I want.
Is that not a gorgeous looking throw though?
That's a great throw. The other takeaway that I got from watching that video is thank God for HD, man. Was it just that short a while ago that we were watching that bad of video quality?
Yes, it was.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
I know it is. I know it is. There are so many like old sports things now. You go back and watch and you said, "Did I really sit there?"
That's not even that long ago. How long ago was that? 5 years for
2007.
2007.
12 years ago.
12 years ago. Yeah.
My math isn't great.
But yeah, there's the crossing route.
Wow.
That's the Bears. That's a Bears game.
Yeah.
That's a different one that went off his face.
He had the
7th overall pick, by the way, in 2005 on Troy.
He had the game in San Francisco? Maybe it was Chili's first year that they lost in where Troy had like 3 or 4 drops in the game.
And Peterson ran for -3 yards or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was a non-factor. Yes. There were a lot of moments like that, Manny Hill.
Did you have more
fun to bring?
Did you have more you wanted to touch on in your oral history before Collar joins us?
I will give you 3rd and 4th round.
All right.
3rd round, the best. Daniil Hunter, without a doubt. 88th pick out of LSU.
That's great.
In 2015. This kid was raw. This kid was athletic. But 3rd round? Runner-up 3rd round. Pat Elflein, center, 70th pick out of Ohio State, 2017. The worst? Okay. I'll finish here because this is the greatest.
Okay.
I told you about the Chris Cook pick, right? Well, the Vikings were continually starved to find cornerbacks. And one of their go-to places for about 2 or 3 years was the 3rd round. They thought, we don't need to take one early. We'll get one in the 3rd round. We're smart. We'll develop them. They had no chance. The worst 3rd round pick in the last 13 drafts by the Vikings, according to me, Marcus McCauley, 72nd pick out of Fresno State in 2007. Now, here's where it gets compounded and funnier, unfortunately, not for the Vikings. The runners up, I awarded 2. Same position. In 2009, they turn around and draft Asher Allen, 3rd round, 86th pick. In 2012, they try again, this time take a kid by the name of Josh Robinson with the 66th overall pick out of Central Florida. Now, what do these guys have in common?
You're bad?
Yeah, that too. McCauley lasted 2 years, Asher 3 before he retired and I believe became a preacher. And Josh Robinson actually had a fighting chance and lasted 4 years until Antoine Winfield was let go. And Ramie, Antoine played the nickel corner, and he was a Pro Bowl player.
Yeah,
he was unbelievable, right?
Yep.
Josh Robinson, the poor kid, had never played the inside in his life. Winfield leaves here, and they'd say to Josh, "You're the guy." The lasting impression still, and you saw this, is Aaron Rodgers just throwing at Josh Robinson every chance he got. And poor Josh, you would think to yourself, that ball's going to hit him. And it would just blow by his ear hole. That was, and that is why.
That's the lasting image.
Yes, that's why my appreciation for Zimmer and his ability to develop corners is so high after watching the absolute, not as people, but the absolute garbage as players that this team tried to continually develop at what is a difficult position.
And very quickly before we break, remember, Judd, when they would put him, and Josh Robinson was a smaller corner too. He was about 5'10", 185, 190 pounds. He was not a big guy. And the Vikings and Leslie Frazier would put him on Alshon Jeffrey. Like he would be trying to defend Alshon Jeffrey in the end zone. And he had
that's another one. Yeah, you can find that highlight.
He had no shot
against the Bears. It's just, I think it's your guy. I think it's your guy Cutler just picking him apart. You went from Antoine Winfield, who was outstanding, to this poor kid who had never played that spot, never in his life.
Not a good choice.
So
not a sound decision.
So those are your first 3 rounds for the past 13 years of the good and the bad of the Vikings draft. If you want to read rounds 4 through 7, check out my piece at ScoreNorth.com.
And there's more detail on rounds 1 through 3 than what we got into here.
You got that right.
Judd.
This took some time.
Oh, how long were you sitting there hammering that thing out last night while I was making Chipotle Ranch Cheetos?
Oh yeah, you know what? My
tenders.
phone didn't work because I didn't get the invite. I believe it took basically the entire Twins game.
Really?
Well, I had to go back through all the drafts and
Dude,
find guys and then find things about them that were compelling and or disgusting if they didn't do well.